And here's the beauty. Once you embrace stewardship, the Bible opens up like a playbook full of financial wisdom, which leads us straight into the next step, looking at the clear biblical proof of how God's people actually handled money. Biblical proof, what Solomon, Paul, and Jesus said about money. If someone still doubts that the Bible cares about money, just look at the three biggest voices: Solomon, Paul, and Jesus. Solomon, known as the wisest and wealthiest king, wrote in Proverbs 21:5. The plans of the diligent lead surely to abundance, but everyone who is hasty comes only to poverty. That's not a prosperity formula, it's a principle of discipline. He built massive wealth not through shortcuts, but through planning, patience, and stewardship. Paul, on the other hand, lived much of his ministry in financial struggle. Yet he wrote in 1 Timothy 6:17, "Command those who are rich in this present world not to be arrogant nor to put their hope in wealth, which is so uncertain, but to put their hope in God." Notice Paul doesn't condemn wealth itself. He condemns arrogance and misplaced trust. In other words, money isn't evil. The love of money is. Paul proves you can make money, use money, and still keep your hope in God. And then there's Jesus, the ultimate teacher on finances. He told parables about talents, coins, debts, and harvests. In Matthew 25, he praises the servants who multiplied their master's money and condemns the one who buried it out of fear. His point was clear. God expects us to grow what he gives us. That's entrepreneurship with a kingdom purpose. Jesus also warned, "Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also." Matthew 6:21. Money reveals the direction of your soul. In practical terms, think about Solomon leaving David's wealth to build the temple. That inheritance wasn't just money. It became the foundation of God's house. Or think about Paul raising funds for the church in Jerusalem. He used business-like organization to meet spiritual needs. Even Jesus had financial supporters. Luke 8:3 says women of means funded his ministry. Each example shows that money, in the right hands, fuels God's work. The thread connecting all three? Responsibility. Solomon teaches diligence, Paul teaches humility, Jesus teaches accountability. When you combine these, you get a clear biblical roadmap. Work hard, stay humble, grow resources, and use them for God's glory. That's not prosperity gospel, that's wisdom gospel. So if Solomon's wealth, Paul's humility, and Jesus' teachings all agree, then the conclusion is obvious. Money itself is not the problem. Our attitude toward it is.